Okay, crazy hair day. Check it out. Uh, yeah, if you haven't already, from my morning class, go put your crazy hair on the Padlet down there. And if you are from math class, there's the Padlet. Go put your crazy hair there. I want to give a shout out to Brandy, who is a super awesome kid and who has gone to the Padlet and put her hair on there. Oh, hair! I'm in pajamas yesterday. Nice job. And I'm really, really stoked with any students who are going on there and kind of putting themselves out there. Good for you. Like, don't worry about what anybody else is going to think. Just be yourself and just be awesome. And like, just I don't know. It just like take a chance. And there's so many different quotes from like people out there about like if it like just try something. The people that are the ones that are trying things are the ones that are gonna like have like a more rich life. They're gonna be happier in the long run. There's gonna be just your life is gonna be so much better if you just try. Don't just sit back and be like, well, I don't want to do that because I might look silly, or somebody might make fun of me or whatever. You know what? They might and they might not, and none of that matters at all. What matters is that you did it, and you'll feel good about yourself because you do it. I guarantee it. Man. Okay, what is this, math lesson I'm giving here? I don't even know what the heck's going on here. Don't be afraid to be yourself, ever. Look at me. I'm a 41-year-old man sitting in the basement of my house recording a math video. It's like midnight right now, and I'm wearing my daughter's tutu on top of my head, and I'm totally cool with that. I feel good about that. I feel good about my place in life right now, people. And so I want to try and express to you, and I know old people talk to you about this stuff all the time, but like, try something different. Try something. Go right now and be like, fine, I'm going to pause my video. I'm going to just put my hair up in some weird hairdo, and I'm going to get over to the crazy hair Padlet, and I'm going to put it on there, because I think maybe Mr. Abbott actually might know what he's talking about sometimes. Okay. Hey, let's talk about math. Today we're going to be talking about volume, and ultimately what we've done is we've talked about the length times the width times the height, and we've gotten that formula down for how to find the volume of a rectangular prism. Now what we're going to take today is basically take one rectangular prism and stack another one on top of it, and then try and see if we can find the volume of both of those things combined, right? Okay. And you'll see what I mean here. Once again, we're going to use this cube maker tool. It's a good tool for us to use because it's a good visual. It helps us out, and it's yeah, what I'm talking about. So I got my cube maker here, and what I'd like to do is just make a cube, something like this. That's a pretty simple cube, isn't it? And we can find the volume of this cube by doing the length times the width times the height. I'm pointing at the screen like you know what I'm talking about. Get off my lawn. Sir, this is a Wendy's. This is three wide, right? And this is 3 wide. And this would be 2 as our length that's going deep. And then we have our height up here, which is a 1, right? And we know this would be our length times my width times my height, which was my 1, and 2 times 3 is 6, and 6 times 1 equals 6. And you're saying to yourself, well, Mr. Abbott, you didn't need to really do all that math. You could just count up those blocks. And yes, I could, but I'm trying to show you how we find the volume of a rectangular prism. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to double check it. But length times width times height is going to give me the volume of that figure. Now, it doesn't matter if I have just that figure there, or if I were to go about placing, let's say, another layer on top. Ba, ba, da, ba. Same rule applies. Length times width times height, right? Height is what I said. That's height. Length 2, width still 3, and height now up to 2. So now I'm doing a 2 times a 3 times a 2, right? Once again, here we go. 2 times 3 is 6, and 6 times 2 is 12, and I have a total volume of 12 cubes. So we can see that. I had a 6 on the bottom. I just doubled that 6. I moved it up for that extra layer, and I'm good to go. And that volume formula would apply to this whole figure, no matter how big it got. Getting the hair out of my face here. I don't know how you guys with long hair have hair. How do you have hair? This is such a pain in the butt. I don't even have to wash it or style it. It's just having something in my face. Get out of my face. I don't know how you do this, Owen, every day with your hair in your face like this. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So anyway, so I just made this a little bit longer here, and now I've got my figure, and I can find the volume of this figure by doing the length times width times height. Now here's where we're going today, and the point that we're going to get to is I'm going to move this guy a little bit. I want to kind of arc him this way. Okay, cool. So now what I'm going to do is I'd like to place another cube on here in a different color, and I'm going to put it just right here, and I'm going to put that guy there, and I'm going to double it up so it's like this, and that's the figure that I'm going to make. So you can see how I've added a second figure on top here with a totally different color. And what if I said, hey, I want you to find the volume of the entire thing? What's the volume of this entire figure? And what you would need to know is, well, do we know the volume of this figure from the bottom? And we can do that. And then we would need to try and figure out the volume of the figure on top. And we could just add those volumes together. And we would use the same formulas in order to get those volumes, those shapes, the volumes of these shapes on this figure here. So let's go ahead. Let's take a look at just the bottom figure. All right. Let's take a look at the bottom figure, and we're going to use our formulas that we know: the length times the width times the height formula. So here's the width. Our width was 1, 2, 3. It was 4 cubes, and our length going back is 2 cubes, and our height going up is 2 cubes. And so using our formula of length times the width times the height, or a 2 by 4 times 2, 2 times 4 would be 8, and 8 times 2 is 16. This whole bottom figure here has a volume of 16 cubes. I'm going to write that just real big on here, 16 cubes, just so I remember that. Cool. Now I need to take a look at this guy up top, because we're going to add him to that bottom part. And so same thing, I need to figure out length times width times height. And so here's what we got here. We have we're going to take a look at this part here and this part here going up. That's our height, and this part here going back. Now I know I didn't add anything to the back there. All of this always goes with the assumption that there's no hidden cubes in the back. We're not trying to trick you here. We're literally just looking at, taking this at what we would call face value, like it is what it is. Cool, right? So looking at this, how wide is this figure? What's the width of this figure? Well, there's two ways of looking at this, and ultimately what you need to start doing is, saying, well, cool, I can count this. I can count this 1, 2. On this one, I can count, and I know that my width here is going to be 2. All right, my 2. The width here is 2. That means the width on the back side here is also 2, right? That's what that means. And you could also look at it too, is to say, well, look down here. This one is, if we knew this one only, if I was like, oh, well, back here is 2, it's 2 back there. Well, you would know that this was also 2, because the whole side, this whole side here is going to be 4, right? So you can start to take a look at all the different sides that you can see, and start to guess and figure out how, what the length or the width or the height of that distance is. So anyways, back to our cube up top here. We have a width of 2. We also have a height of 1, 2, cool. And we have a depth, our length, our depth here is the same, that is also 2. Okay. And so over here, I'm going to put this one over here. This was a 2 by 2 by 2 cube, and 2 by 2 is 4. And 4 times 2 is 8. And so we had a total of 8 for our volume, our cubic volume on top. So so now combining both of these, and that's what we do, is we figure out the top, figure out the bottom. You ultimately can dissect them and put them back together if you really wanted to. Anyways, so we had 16 and 16, and we're going to add in the 8. We're going to take this and we're going to add that in. So 16 plus 8, there we go. Now 8 plus 6 is 14. I was thinking about that, like take 2 off the 6 and add it to the 8 to make 10, and you have 4 left over. 14, and put my 1 up there, and then and then not multiplying, I went to multiply. And 1 plus 1 would be 2. And so we have a total volume for this figure of 24 cubic units. Okay, now I wouldn't just say 24 because that wouldn't be correct. You really do need to label your number, and this would be, right now we don't really know what they're called. It's just cubic units, okay? Because we're not saying these are millimeters, centimeters, whatever. We don't know. They're unnamed. Cool. So anyways, the point of this is to see that how you can dissect both of those figures and get an answer. So what I'd like to do then is using this thought here and this tool, I'm going to split screen this so that we have our tool on one side here, and I want to put a problem on the other side over here that looks rather similar, doesn't it? It looks rather similar. And so what we have over here is, it doesn't, we want to show the cubes, and that's fine. What you could do anytime you have a problem like this is you could always pull up this cube maker, and it would help you. We're going to get rid of that there. And I'm going to take this, I want to make this figure. I want to make it. It's 10 centimeters long. So let's say each cube is a centimeter, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Whoa, it's going to come out. 7. I got to back up. 8, 9, 10. Okay. So that's how wide that figure is. Okay, just like that. It's 10 centimeters wide. It is it's 3 cubes deep. Okay? 3 cubes deep. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to make it 3 cubes deep. And I'm going to add my blocks on there. 3 cubes deep. Cool. Okay. 3 cubes deep. And then it's 2 cubes high. So it's like one of these double. So I just need to layer this up now. Okay. And I'm just going to go along and do this. Theoretically, oh no, if I really wanted to, I could be counting this as I go along. I'm going to get a different view here. Upwards might make it easier for me. I could be counting the number of cubes that I'm putting in here. No, get out of there. Something satisfying about this. And so there it was. Got that, and that was too high. So I now have my 10 by 3 by 2 cube. And then I have this other guy on top, and this is a different color altogether because I want to show you. So this one here is the same thing. It's too deep. Or sorry, sorry, this is 2 centimeters high. See, so as I'm looking at this, I just confused myself. It's 3 deep here. If this is 3 deep, then we know that this here is also 3 deep. It's got to be. I mean, there's nothing here that shows me otherwise. And that shows me that this line here is also 3. And that would mean that this line here would also be 3. So I can deduce that by looking at all those and say that all of those are going to be 3. Looking at this, I also have some other questions then. This right here is 4 going up. This has a height of 4. Oh, sorry about that. That's a bad drawing. It has a height of 4. So it tells me that this right here I can deduce is also 4 because it's a square. This isn't a curvy line that goes down or anything like that, right? It's a square, so that's also 4. That would tell me that this here would also be 4. And theoretically, this corner back here, if I drew it down, would also be 4. So these are all 4 centimeters, I can say that. Is there anything else I need to figure out? Yeah, how wide is this thing? Like, how wide? Well, it's giving me some information here. It's saying that this line here, this side, and this side on the back side, which does extend a little further if you think about it, this figure does kind of do something like that back there. Anyways, is 6. That tells me that this is also 6 here. So if it's 6 from here to here, I can deduce, if I were to draw that down, that would be 6. Here's 10. What's left over here? Well, if I have 10, if the whole side here is 10, and that's 6, well, 6 plus what is going to equal 10? Then yeah, it's going to be 4. And so if this part is 4, that tells me that this up here is also 4, and this here is also 4. Cool. So what I wanted to do is, I wanted to deduce and get all of that. When I say deduce, I mean like figure out, problem solve. I wanted to use the information that I had to try and pretty much give myself a distance or a length or a width on all of these sides so that I can go about trying to figure out the volume on that. So I have my cubes here, and this one I said I'm going to start filling these guys in. No, don't mark on it there, Mr. Abbott. You want to actually do something. It's 4 high and it's a 4 wide. So hello, mate. We got to play some. 1, 2. Okay. Oh, I got to turn that memory blocked out. And it was 4 high. 1, 2, 3, 4 high, and 3 like that, and it was 4 wide. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Uh-oh, why do I always do that? So now I got to fill that in. All right, and I just figured those sides out by just deducing. Fill this guy in. This thing is so finicky. I've got 3 layers up there. No, that's too many layers. It's not that tall. I'm sure you're loving watching me fumble around on this thing right now. Whatever, you're quarantined. You got nothing else to do. Up. 1 in there, 1 here, and 1 here. It's so cool how that optical illusion works out. Okay, so I built my figure. And it is the same. It is the same. It's a 10 by 3 by 2 and a 4 by 2. So I say 4 by 3 by 4. Cool. And so now what I need to do is try and wrap this up fast. Yes, is to multiply. So I have a 10 by 3 by 2. Is this guy, bottom guy down here, and this top one here is a 4 by 3 by 4. It's 4 wide by 3 deep by 4 tall. Cool. So I want to do the math on this now. So 10 times 3 is 30, and 30 times 2 would be 60. And so my bottom down here is 60. That does make sense, right? It's a 3 by 10. 3 by 10, 2 of those. I have a 4 by 3. Can you see the 4 by 3? Can you see where that's at? It's a 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 by 3. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. So 4 by 3. And I have 4 of those. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 by 3 is 12. 12 times a 4 is 12 times 48. So I had 48 for my volume here on the top guy. 48 and 60. You need to add those two together. So 60 plus 48 equals, well, 60 and 40 is 100. Plus that 8 there will be 108. I think I did that. 108, and it's 108. And now here we have centimeters. And so now we actually have a name for what it was that we were doing. And we know that the volume is going to be cubic centimeters, because we have a centimeter times a centimeter times a centimeter. That's 3 centimeters. So anyways, volume on here, 108 cubic centimeters. I'm thinking that you guys got this down. I'm hopeful. You know, we're basically dissecting. Pop that top off if you needed to. Think about it that way. And just find the volume of just this bottom guy, and then find the volume of just the top guy. The trickiest part, I think, when it comes down to this, as I've watched you guys try and do this before, is the trickiest part is really just get up there. Cool. The trickiest part is really just figuring out when you have something that looks different. Let me find an example if I can. As exactly like what is this over here, and what is this over here, and what is that, and using all the information that you possibly have to try and come up with the lengths of the width and the length of the width, to find the distance of the width and find the distance of the height and the distance of the length. Okay, that's all I got for you. I need to go to bed. It's midnight, and I'm 41 years old with my daughter's tutu on my head. So it's probably time for me to call it quits. The last thing I want to tell you is that I need everybody to make sure that you are getting your vocabulary logins correct. And so I made a video this morning about this. I'm going to pause and I'll be right back. It'll be all ready for you. So 1 second. Hey, here I am again. I made a video this morning for anybody who's trying to get onto the vocabulary, and basically what it has is it has like the class code in there, as well as the join up website. So what you need to do is, if you weren't in a meeting yesterday or didn't simply get yourself set up for the vocabulary account, you need to click on this video and watch me. It's not a very long video at all. It's a really easy process. It's just basically giving you the website and also giving you the class code. What you would do is click on it and start it, and then pause it at a certain point so that you have the class code there, and do it, and then you're good to go. You're going to have a vocabulary lesson and activity to do coming up here soon, so make sure that's done. Okay, that's all I got for you. Love you guys. I hope you have a good day. Hit me up, chat if you need to, and try and stay sane, and put yourself out there. Get crazy hair. Let me see it.